But we're going to begin with the race for the White House and the latest on Hillary Clinton's health after she was rushed out of the 9/11 memorial event Sunday, caught on tape stumbling. Her aides lifting her into a vehicle. Her doctor says it's pneumonia. But this morning, many questions about her health. ABC's Cecilia Vega is here with much more on all this. Good morning, Cecilia.
Robin, good morning to you. Serious questions about her health and now serious questions about why her campaign did not disclose this pneumonia diagnosis sooner. Hillary Clinton's health had been the subject of right-wing blogs and conspiracy theories, but now it is a central issue in this campaign. The video shows Hillary Clinton leaving the 9/11 memorial early. As the van doors open, she doesn't move. A team of aides and Secret Service agents rush to her side. One grabbing her by the waist, another by the arm, her head bobbing. As Clinton tries to enter the van, she loses her footing and nearly collapses. It takes 3 people to help her. Clinton nearly hits the ground as they put her in that van, which then drives to her daughter Chelsea's apartment. About 2 hours later, Clinton appears smiling and waving.
How do you feel?
She greeted a young girl, but ignored questions about her health.
What happened?
It's a beautiful day in New York.
What happened?
Initially, Clinton's campaign said she felt overheated during the ceremony. It wasn't until hours later on Sunday evening that her team revealed Clinton was sick. Her doctor says she was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday.
Every time I think about Trump, I get allergic.
It came during an exam for a recent cough that Clinton had said was related to allergies.
We have 63 days to go.
The doctor says in a statement that the 68-year-old Democratic nominee was put on antibiotics and advised to rest and modify her schedule, adding that Clinton became overheated and dehydrated at the memorial, but that she is now recovering nicely. Clinton's health was also the subject of questions in 2012. She suffered a concussion after fainting and hitting her head. At the time, aides downplayed the severity of the injury, but she later appeared wearing special glasses for double vision. She had a blood clot, and it took her 6 months to make a full recovery. On the campaign trail, Donald Trump has turned Clinton's health and stamina into an attack line.
She doesn't have the strength or the stamina. And you know what? We can be nice and politically correct, and we can say, we don't have the time anymore, folks.
But Clinton brushing off the attacks as conspiracy theories.
There are so many of them, I've lost track of them.
And this morning, she is back home in Chappaqua following doctor's orders to rest. And this morning, Clinton had planned to leave on a campaign swing to California. That trip has now been canceled. She is also facing renewed calls to release her full medical records. So far, no word from the campaign on whether that will happen. Robin, Donald Trump, you'll know, has also not released his this campaign.
That's right, Cecilia. Thank you. We're going to bring in ABC's Dr. Richard Besser and Martha Raddatz as well. Our own little round table here in the morning.
Yeah.
You saw the video.
That's right.
What did you see?
Yeah, okay, so let's look at that video. You can see that she's leaning on a post there. The door's open. She goes to get into that video there. She's supported under her arms. Her feet come up off the ground, and you can see that she's not able to walk in on her own. And when you see something like that, it could be caused by any number of things, but what's reassuring to me as a doctor is the video 90 minutes later, where she's outside the apartment, she's able to talk with people and greet. And that, to me, is consistent with the story that we're hearing, that she was dehydrated and got rehydrated and was feeling better at that time.
Overheated, dehydrated, and the doctor's saying pneumonia. But, you know, some people are wondering, could it possibly be something more serious?
Well, you know, when you hear the word pneumonia, people wonder what that even is. Pneumonia is a lung infection. It can be caused by bacteria, by viruses, by funguses, all kinds of things. What I'd like to know is, you know, how was she examined? How did they make the diagnosis? Did she have an X-ray? What kind of pneumonia?
Yeah, we used to hear this phrase, walking pneumonia.
Yeah, so a walking pneumonia, it used to refer to an organism called mycoplasma. It was a mild pneumonia. People might not even know they had it until a doctor put a stethoscope on their chest and listened. And sometimes they could go about their day. Certain types of pneumonia are contagious. Certain types need antibiotics and other ones don't. And there's a lot there that, as a doctor, I'd want to know.
And Martha, this gets to the question of disclosure as well. She was diagnosed on Friday. That statement comes out early in the day, says overheated, but doesn't disclose the pneumonia echoes of when you were covering her in 2012 when she had that concussion.
When she was Secretary of State, as Cecilia mentioned, very early in December 9th it was, she basically called in sick to the State Department. They said she's under the weather. What we didn't really know for about 4 or 5 days was that she had fallen. They kept saying she was not feeling well. They canceled the trip, but they gave no details. She actually was diagnosed with a concussion on a Thursday of that week, didn't come out until Saturday, tell us about the concussion. Then she had that blood clot later in the month. They basically said she wants to get back to work, she's making good progress, and then a month later we see her with those glasses, and they did not disclose those glasses were for double vision.
And they made
somebody caught it by looking at the photograph.
They made a big point at the time that she wasn't hospitalized.
Yes, they said she wasn't hospitalized, but what happens is they bring the hospital to her. They do tests there. They had 24-hour nursing care, but they never, ever said what exactly was going on.
I was going to say, so as a doctor right now, you're seeing a lot of op-eds by other doctors about what obligation each candidate has to disclose right now. Pretty extraordinary situation. Donald Trump's 70 years old, Hillary Clinton 68. When John McCain ran back in 2008, he released something like 1,200 pages.
Well, some of the calls in the op-eds are for an independent panel to do a medical evaluation. You can't play professional football or baseball without having a medical clearance, without someone doing a thorough exam who is independent. I don't think that's unreasonable for a president. As you hit your 70s, there are all kinds of medical problems that tend to come up that you see less in people who are young. And people want to know the health status of their candidates. Doctors won't lie when they're talking, but they also won't disclose things without the permission of a patient or a candidate.
And as we said, neither candidate has released those medical records. But after this, and because of the age and what you're talking about,
more pressure.
And brings up those issues of mistrust again for Hillary Clinton, which is such a huge issue in this campaign.
For both sides, yes. And a lot of people are wondering about Donald Trump. All eyes on his campaign this morning and their reaction to what happened. ABC's Tom Yamas is at Trump headquarters here in New York. And Tom, what's the campaign saying about all of this?
Robin, good morning. Just minutes ago, Donald Trump weighed in on what has happened to Hillary Clinton. He says he hopes she feels better. He says he doesn't know what's going on, but he did say she did have that coughing fit a week ago. He says he hopes to see her at the debate. Now, the Trump campaign today is focused on something Hillary Clinton did over the weekend. Speaking at a fundraiser on Friday night here in New York City, Clinton said half of Trump supporters are, quote, a basket of deplorables. And this morning, the Trump campaign is out with a new campaign ad making sure voters hear that statement.
Speaking to wealthy donors, Hillary Clinton called tens of millions of Americans deplorable.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
People like you, and you. Deplorable.
Now, the Clinton campaign and Clinton herself did apologize for that statement. The next day, she released this statement saying, quote, "Last night I was grossly generalistic, and that's never a good idea. I regret saying half. That was wrong." Now, Robin, this is something the Trump campaign is going to hone on this week. Trump himself has called this very insulting and saying this will affect Clinton in the polls.
And Tom, the Trump campaign is also likening this to something that Mitt Romney said in 2012, right?
That's right. Donald Trump is calling this Clinton's 47% moment. And you'll remember that's that big gaffe Mitt Romney had in the 2012 campaign when he compared 47% of America saying that they were dependent on government and that they all felt like victims. Many people felt that that comment possibly costed Romney the election. Robin?
Okay, let's bring in John Carl and get a little bit more on this right now. John, let's start out with that deplorable comment. You just heard what Donald Trump is doing, putting that out in an ad in several battleground states right now. And Hillary Clinton's apology, not really an apology. She regretted using the word half, but kind of reinforced the message she was sending Friday night in the statement she sent out. I think she's at least betting on the fact that this will not be her 47% comment.
Yeah, that was one of the great non-apology apologies, George, to say that she simply regretted using the word half. So what's the percentage? Is it a quarter? What was she saying? Look, one of the ironclad rules of politics is you can mock your opponent, you can maybe even get away with calling your opponent names, but you don't mock the voters. That's what she's done. And the danger for her is she has just given a big motivator to Trump voters. And right now, Trump voters are more energized, more motivated than Hillary Clinton voters. Also, independents don't like the name calling either.
Yeah, our poll shows that his supporters right now much more enthusiastic than hers. It also shows, Martha mentioned this, those honest and trustworthy numbers. Historic lows for both candidates. Only 35% believe that Hillary Clinton is honest and trustworthy. Only 31% believe that Donald Trump is honest and trustworthy. And she certainly didn't help herself yesterday.
Not at all, George. I mean, this is her biggest vulnerability as a presidential candidate, that voters simply do not trust her. Those are remarkable numbers for both candidates when you have roughly a third saying they trust her, two-thirds suggesting not. And look, if you cannot trust her about how she feels, what can you trust her about? This was not simply a lack of transparency yesterday. This was borderline deception. They said simply that she was overheated. They said that she was feeling fine. And then you find out she had been diagnosed with pneumonia. Not a good day on the transparency.
But, John, what do you make of the argument that some Clinton supporters put out that she's being held to a double standard? She puts out much more medical information than Donald Trump. He has a 4-paragraph letter. She puts out 10 years of tax returns. He doesn't put out any. The point they're making is that, yes, this may be an issue, but you all aren't covering the other side.
Well, it's a good point. Donald Trump had put out a single letter from his doctor, a doctor that wasn't necessarily qualified to even make the assessment, and it was, frankly, a joke of a letter. I mean, it said that he would be the most healthy, robust president we've ever had. He has not submitted to this. He would be the oldest newly elected president in American history. He clearly has to do something here. But look, this is about her. What happened yesterday is about her.
No question. Okay, John Carl, thanks very much.
All right there, George. And thank you, Martha and Rich.